record whenever you're ready. I'll press record.
Okay, we're ready to go.
This conference will now be recorded.
So good evening, Council. If we can get a mover and a seconder to call this meeting to order, please. Belinda and Peter. Moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that we do call this regular meeting of Council to order on Wednesday, December 1st, 2021 at 6 p.m. Those in favor? And that is carried. And I'd like to say congratulations to Council. This is your anniversary. 3rd year. We're starting into our 4th year now. Oh. You're in your official capacity on December 4th of 2018. Okay, continuing on, we have our Indigenous Land Acknowledgement. Councillor Paroff.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Ford. The Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the land that we gather here on today is the Treaty 9 from the 1905 to 1906 territory, the traditional lands of the Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all of its diverse peoples.
Thank you, Councillor Paroff. So moving on to item number 3, review or note any changes to the agenda. I don't believe there's any, so we'll move to the approval. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Drago and Peter. Moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that Council does hereby approve the agenda as presented. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, our next item is item number 5, disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof and declaration of conflict of interest. Council, I don't have anything at this time, but throughout the meeting, if such a situation arises, you can declare it then as well. So moving on to the adoption of the minutes, 6.1, if I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Belinda and John. Moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of Council held on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 as distributed. Any discussion on the minutes? There being none, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, so moving on, item number 7, none, and item number 8 is a presentation of our preliminary budget discussions, and I hand it off to our treasurer, Melissa Chenier. There you are. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for the documents. I'm amazed at how far we've come.
Good evening, everyone. So we'll jump right into it. I'm going to skip over the revenue expenses summary and we'll go into revenue detailed. So if you could all pull up that, it's called 2021-2022 revenues detailed.
Where is that? Sorry.
It's under 8.1 on the agenda.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes.
So it's the 2021, the revenues one, the second link you want us to?
Yeah, detailed.
Okay, it doesn't say detailed on ours.
No.
You have 4 links?
2.
2 links.
I have 4 links on my agenda.
Oh, not the agenda I have. Just a second. I'll bring up my digital one. Are you going from a paper agenda, John, or your digital agenda?
I'm going digital off of off the email I received on Friday.
Okay. Drago, do you have 4 links on yours? Yes, okay. And Belinda, you have 4 as well?
If you look on here under 8.1, 2022 budget, says revenue expenses, then it says 2021-22 revenues detailed, 2021-2022 expenses detailed. So if you don't have that, obviously don't have it then.
Yeah, I don't have
it.
that. That's all right. I'm gonna look it up right now.
John, you're gonna have to sign into agenda notes on your iPad.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, I have it now. I'm sorry about that. I was going off of my paper agenda. Just bear with me. I gotta plug in my iPad.
I still do not have it. I signed in, I do not have it.
So are you able to email those to John?
Yeah. Okay, they've been sent.
I just received it, thanks.
You're welcome. Cheryl, you're muted.
Thank you for that. It was the detailed revenues that you wanted us to be on.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. John, do you have yours open now?
Yes, I do, thank you.
Okay, so we're all on the same page. Way you go, Melissa. Thank you.
Okay, so first, I just wanted to say that I'm going to go over the 2021 year-to-date and budget amounts first, and then go to the next one, which is detailed expenses, and go through the 2021 year-to-date budget amounts, and then we'll come back to the 2022 revenues and then expenses.
Okay.
So there's not much to say for the 2021 budget amounts. I didn't do any changes to the actual budget amounts for any of the operating revenues. The only thing that I really have to say is in line 1500 service delivery review. I have added the amount for $19,950 into the transfer from reserve, which I haven't actually done yet. So I just put that into the spreadsheet. And the reason why I did that is throughout all the revenue, throughout all of this, both the spreadsheets, I put in the amounts that we had budgeted for transfer from reserve, just to offset the expenses, so we could actually see a true picture of the amount of surplus that we would see at this stage in the game. So if you scroll down to water, it's 4,000. It's still on the first page. The transfer to reserve 30,870. I hadn't added that one in. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. And aqua recoverable credits of 54,400. I haven't added that in either. And they're on the table tonight following the budget presentation to defer that. The credits into then so that's it for 2021 revenues. Does anybody have any questions for me at this point?
Go ahead, Councillor Karoff.
Yeah, sorry, Melissa.
Okay, in 1,200 to the council expense, that's 1,488 was put in there from the emergency managed, so that was just redistributed throughout the department. Bylaw, again, that's just from admin. I put the insurance for the actual amount in there, $306. Public Works, on the same page, the salaries and wages, as well as CPP, EI, employee health tax, WSIB, and OMERS. Those are all the actual amounts that we originally budgeted for, less the actual amounts for the airport and the landfill and the cemetery. So those were hours that the Public Works Department worked in those various departments. And again, insurance, that's $12,426 from the admin department. So on to the third page. And as you can see on this third page, there are various GL accounts that have been taken out of the budget, and I requested from the auditor last week if we were able to do that, because I said that I found it very frustrating and very hard to do budgeting and financial reporting to council with all of these extra wages and benefits throughout all of these departments. And he in fact told me that that's not a custom way that people do that, and I was able to take all of those out, and he said that that's the way other municipalities do it. So now all I have for all of the machines in Public Works Department is materials and supplies and repair and maintenance. So in 3002, right at the very bottom of the page, repair and maintenance for Sander, there was an increase to that budget of $5,300, and that was taken from the loader. A little bit halfway down the page to 3012, repair and maintenance backhoe, there was an increase of $5,000, which made it $20,000 from $15,000. Repair and maintenance loader, there was less $3,500 that was put into the Sander. Excavator, there was an additional $3,230 from bridges and culverts. Bridges and culverts, materials and supplies, there was an additional $815 added in from the capital expenses. Me and Dwayne were talking, and Dwayne advised that he wouldn't be buying any culverts this year. So originally the capital expenses for bridges and culverts was $15,000. So there was a little bit of distribution from that particular account. So there was 4230 that went to the excavator, 815 to the materials and supplies of bridges and culverts. $2,700 went to flood control. $650 went to signs. $5,000 went to backhoe. And that's it for bridge and culvert. Sorry. Flood control, the next one, there was an additional $2,700 that were from bridges and culverts. And like I said, signs and guardrails, there was an additional $650 that came from bridges and culverts. So on to the next page. Airport, that was a redistribution from administration. $7,552 was put into insurance. And like I had previously said about the PWD, or Public Works Department, eliminating some of the GLs, we also eliminated some of the general ledger accounts in the airport. So when we now have only airport general and then airport blower and airport loader and plow, where we used to have the loader and plow in two separate accounts. So that's why I've got those highlighted in red and green, because they're now combined accounts. Down to the bottom of page 4, garbage and landfill. Telephone for landfill, the budget was reduced $100 and put into repair and maintenance for landfill, and repair and maintenance was of course increased by $100, and that's due to purchasing a window out at the landfill transfer station. So on to the next page, 5200 cemetery. $122 was put into insurance from the administration department. Recreation department, we used to have an account that was 7,009 and 7,010. 7,009 was recreation. The other one was recreation administration. So those two GLs have been combined. I just wanted to point out that there was $1,000, or sorry, the furniture and equipment for recreation. There was a new new net that was purchased for the tennis courts. So that's why that is highlighted, the 500, and that is also from the account that I was saying, 7,009. Insurance was a redistribution from the administration department, and materials and supplies was moved to furniture and equipment because of the net for the tennis courts. And then interest and service charges in 7010, that's been added as for merging the accounts. The town center, 7011, that's a redistribution from admin insurance, $3,033. Parks, there's a redistribution from insurance from the admin department. Materials and supplies, there's less $1,000 that was put into advertising and public relations. And advertising and public relations, there was an increase of $1,000, and that amount was so high due to the purchase of fireworks. And repair and equipment maintenance, I know I don't have it highlighted, but repair and maintenance land in the parks, there was $20,000 budgeted in there, and that $4,300 that we actually spent was the survey from the Centre of Ontario for that. So arena, I don't know why I have wages. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. We took 600 or 100, 1,000, $11,500 from wages and put it into propane. The reason why that we had such an surplus in wages for the arena is because we did budget for the whole year for a part-time staff that didn't work in 2021. So there was a little bit of a surplus in there. Insurance is a redistribution from administration, 19,522. Repair and maintenance equipment, that I highlighted that actual one because there was prepaid expenses. We signed a contract this year for repairs and maintenance at the equipment, and it was for 3 years. So 2 of those years have been moved into prepaid expenses for upcoming two years. So down on to the next page, Curling Club. The insurance, as I said, it was a redistribution from the administration. The canteen, furniture and equipment, there was $1,100 that was added from, excuse me, repair and maintenance. That's because the canteen, a new stove was purchased at the canteen. $1,100 was moved from repair and maintenance building to furniture and equipment, and $100 was moved to equipment and repairs. And underneath that is an additional $100 for repair and maintenance equipment. So down to the fitness facility, insurance, again, a redistribution for administration, repair and maintenance building, and added $600 from repair and maintenance equipment, and repair and maintenance equipment less $600 to building. Down to library, insurance is the only thing that is changed in this. Except for emergency management, there was $47 in emergency management that I moved up into the emergency management department rather than library. Economic development, there was just a redistribution of funds within materials and supplies. We moved $400 to subscriptions. Memberships, we moved $1,100 to subscriptions. Professional services and economic development, $4,900. That's for the expenses from the Hornepayne Housing Corporation. And then subscriptions, like I said, it was added for $400 from materials and supplies, economic development, and $1,100 from economic development memberships. Municipal Service Corporation, that's insurance that came from the administration. So that's insurance for the Hornepayne Housing Corporation. And so for a total of operating expenses, we have a surplus of $1,356,000 at this point. I just wanted to mention, I did remove from the actual budget $46,240 from the operating budget and moved it down to cash capital, as I originally had all of the long-term loan payments for water and wastewater treatment in the operating budget, which I explained during the budget process for 2021. So I don't have anything really to say about capital and special projects. All of the actuals are the actual amounts that we budgeted for. The community and special projects, the community improvement plan, I believe the RFP has been issued. The airport project, the contract has been signed and work has commenced. The revitalization project and investment readiness, we got rejected or denied for that application that we put in, but it has since been reapplied for a second round. The municipal modernization have been approved for that. And actually, since I've done this budget or these actual amounts, we have received $41,000 since then. So it's not reflected on this. However, we haven't incurred any expenses on that as of yet. The asset management, we did put in an application, but we're denied, and a second application has been submitted. The Pavilion Park, we've incurred $69,000 in the project. It's anticipated to be finished at the end of next summer, hopefully. Community needs assessment, we did not get approved for that funding. The dechlorination project should be completed at the next spring. So we've incurred $165,000 with that. The excavator float, we hadn't purchased that. From what I understand, we don't have a vehicle to be able to pull the float. So we would purchase it and then we wouldn't be able to move it. And then the bucket and thumb was added as per council's resolution. So overall, for the total expenses to date, we've incurred $303.75 million. So as a result of the operating revenue expenses, currently to date for operating, we have $1.037 million surplus. However, we still have quite a few expenses to pay out before the end of the year. And like I had mentioned to council, that I wanted to talk about putting money from reserve into expenses. I would like council's direction if we are still at a big surplus at the end of the year, would council like to not take any of those monies out of reserve and just spend those monies out of our operating expenses if we can do that? Like if we have enough funding at year end to do that. A few of the things that we do have to take out of reserve is money from the municipal modernization grant for $19,915, because that was funding that has to be spent, that we've already allocated to those projects for $19,915.
So your question is then, Melissa, to council, is that the reserve monies that were to be transferred from reserve into the budget have not been, they're still sitting in reserve. And we're looking at possibly a surplus at year end. And instead of doing all of those transfer works, do we want to leave everything and supplement the budget with that surplus? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess we'll have a detailed list of where our reserves are at after that then, because they'll stay at their levels that they were pre-budget, right? Last year's budget?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that would be your recommendation? It's just less maneuvering?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like if we would end up having to put any surplus dollars into reserve anyway. So if council would like me to continue to carry it out as we originally budgeted, then we would just take it all out of reserve and then put it back into reserve.
Okay, just the only question I have is when we have a surplus with our policy of what we do with the surplus, does it go to a particular reserve? Or do
we don't have a policy yet.
We don't have that yet. Okay. Okay. So we would decide, you would probably tell us to put it all back where we took it from anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, council, if that is clear as mud for you, I hope. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Sorry, just a second, please apologize.
Okay, just while Councillor Stefanik's waiting, I just want to say, I really liked how the presentation went through. So on a whole, this year was okay.
Yeah, we're doing good. There,
Okay.
like there is a lot of expenses that are still going to be coming. Like if you go scroll up into water or the expenses for water, like you can see that our capital expenses in our water department are not very high where we've scrolling up one second.
Yeah.
So like the water capital expenses for the water, we've got $65,000 in there, but we've only spent 7,800. And then in the wastewater, same thing, we've got 70,000 and we've only spent 5,600. But we know those bills are coming. Gail's already signed the expenses for them for the year. And normally they do a mass billing on December 31st. So for sure, those monies are going to be spent. Like we know that there's extra expenses coming, so it's definitely not going to be $1 million surplus.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
My apologies. First, I concur with the treasurer. It makes financial sense to me to use all the surplus for the current budgeting, and whatever is left over, obviously, as Melissa knows very well over the years, we will put it in the reserves if there was left over. But I agree 100%. Let's utilize it for our operating budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stefanik. Okay, and you don't need a resolution for that. Melissa?
Well, yeah, it's just preliminary discussions right now. We need to know the final numbers first. So I'll bring that back to council with some concrete numbers after we talk to Nathan and do the auditing and stuff. So we'll know more later on in the year.
Okay.
Early next year.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions for Melissa on the expense side from council? Okay, I do have one question, and I'm not sure if it's not directly related to the budget, but it came up in the discussion, is floating the excavator. So are we gonna have a plan for that into the future?
I'll have to defer that to Dwayne.
Okay. We can leave that for discussion at our meeting, our regular council meeting, as well under managers' reports.
Either or.
Okay, Dwayne, if you're ready, I just don't want to put you on the spot. You weren't really here to present tonight.
Yeah, we have kind of a plan for that. We need a dump truck here somewhere along the way, and that's kind of the plan, is to have the float in the back of the dump truck.
Okay, okay. Great, thank you for that, Dwayne.
You're welcome.
Okay, so where are we at, Melissa? What would you like to do next?
So we'll just go back to the first document that we were looking at 2021, 2022 revenues details.
Okay.
So what I did with the revenue and with the expenses, before I made all of the changes to the budget, I just rolled everything into 2022 that was in 2021, and I just made the changes that I know of right now when I was making this spreadsheet. So in the revenues for operating, the only one that I know so far is OMPF, which has been decreased to 574,500, and that's a reduction of $15,000 from this year. And everything else, it has remained the same. However, I did want to point out that, oh no, that's not this side, sorry, that's in the expense side. So far, that's the only decrease in the revenue is that amount.
Okay, so just for clarity, the 2022 draft budget amounts on the far right side of the page, that is all the current budget amounts that were budgeted for 2021, except the highlighted green, you know that actual number. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right on, thank you.
Okay, now we'll go back to expenses details.
Okay. Is everybody there? Do you have your expenses detailed? Yep, away you go, Melissa.
So again, I did the same thing. I just rolled the 2021 into 2022. And the green ones that I've highlighted in green are fixed numbers that I've, the first one in administration is salary and wages for admin. So I've calculated all those at the rates, the 2022 rates. So I've received everything for the benefits from the government, and I got the salary and wages from the salary grid and from the QP agreement. And the next one, MPAC, that has been, oh, that's not the same number. It is 15,485 for 2021 and 2022. I don't know where 1575 comes from for the actuals for 2021. I'll have to look that one up, because that one also should also be 15,485. Sorry about that. And I don't know if council wants to discuss now, or if they want to discuss it in the future about council's travel and training expenses, because I'm not sure what's going to be happening with COVID, if we're going to be starting to move around places, but if we're still going to be doing things virtually, that's probably enough. But if we're going to be traveling out of town some more, those will probably have to be increased.
Yeah, on that note, Melissa, I remember when we came on to council, we had talked about ensuring there was enough for that new council if they want to travel for that first month. So that have we taken that into account here yet, or?
No, not yet. And I imagine, I don't know, Gail, if you're going to be doing orientation training and stuff like that in 2022. Yeah. So those numbers will for sure have to get increased. So is council comfortable putting them back where they used to be at 7,500 for mayor and then 5,000 for all the councillors?
Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
I agree 100% because potential new council members, I think it would be wise financially.
Thank you, Councillor Stefanik. I'm seeing Peter in agreement. Is that an agreement? Yes. Okay, you have consensus there, Melissa. Just one
So
comment.
down to
The orientation that's going to be taking place. That's the orientation that happens in the summer for people that are looking to go on council, or is that the orientation for council after they're elected?
yeah, I was talking about the orientation for council, for new council.
I think it would be both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So down to fire department, excuse me. There was an increase of the salary and wages honorarium, and that's increased 1.5%. So that's what the increase is every year for the volunteer firefighters. The policing 2015, that's an increase as well. So we've received that amount from the OPP already, so we know that amount is coming for 2022, and that's an increase of $984. Down to Public Works Department, I've calculated those all again, just like administration, based on the QP agreement, the salary grid, and all of the benefits from the government. On to the next page. Excavator, we increased it for this in 2021 for the budget. However, it was originally $2,000 for repair and maintenance, so we put in an extra $1,000 in there as per Dwayne's recommendation. Flood control, Dwayne, I believe, wanted to discuss what council's direction is in regards to beaver dams on the highway. So I'll hand that over to Dwayne if he wants to speak on that.
There's a bunch of beaver dams that travel through town on the jackfish. There's probably 4 of them, I think, on the river. I'm just not sure what we're going to do with that yet.
Okay, have we contacted the trappers in the area?
Not on that one, but on other ones so far. They still haven't done the ones I've asked already.
Okay, what have we done in the past, Dwayne? How has that been dealt with in the past?
That I do not have knowledge of.
Okay,
I can speak to that a little bit. I'm not sure about specifically Jackfish River, but we do have one person that we relied on quite a bit who is no longer with us. And another one that we have used before, who I don't know if they're just too busy right now, but I guess they haven't been responding as before. So I'm not sure if there's other people that we can try and contact. You know, get somebody else who does have the time. Maybe that's another option, is to get some names of other people.
yeah, maybe put a posting out for nuisance beaver operators, that we have a list to call from. I just want to ensure that we're following their trap line guidelines too. Like if they're, I'm under the assumption, which it's not great to assume, but that the trapper gets the first choice if they want to be the operator. Okay, and I wouldn't know whose trap line that is or anything.
So is it the township's response? Is it the township's responsibility if it's on the highway?
I'm not sure. We'd have to talk to MTO about that, I would imagine. Has it been our responsibility in the past, Gail, the Jackfish River?
I don't know specifically about the river. Like, yes, in town, I know they've done it in town, but along the highway, I would think that it's not. But I think we have to speak to MTO and MNR both to clarify that
Ferrovial's been clearing them out on the highway.
on the highway. Okay.
Okay, so they are taking care of the highway part?
Yes.
So this is specifically for the community part?
Between the old pump house and then basically up to the highway, there's 4 dams right now.
Okay.
So we could see an increase for 2022 in that department for flood control.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Dwayne.
So on the same page, 36 for loose top. No, sorry, not loose top, dust control. We haven't paid any bills yet this year, and we reached out for them for the invoice, so we know that's coming. However, Dwayne has asked to double it for 2022. But however, he is going to await some final numbers, and it may be more than 24,000 for next year. Street lights. I just have a little note on here that we have $6,000 in street lights. However, that could be decreased for 2022. Water expense. I have $37,470 in there for long-term principal, sorry. And underneath that at 4070, I have $5,865 in debenture interest. So we know those are the amounts for the long-term loans for next year. Compactor for the landfill. There was $33,000 in there for this year. We're getting close to that. We've spent already $26,000. So for 2022, it's been decreased to $5,000 as opposed to $33,000. On to the next page. We have increased the materials and supplies in parks from 5,000 to 6,000, and that's due to Canada Day expenses and fireworks and such. The arena salaries and benefits have been calculated, as I said, based on the information that we already have that we know is coming in 2022. And the propane has been increased as well to 21,500, as this year we only had 10,000 in the budget and we've already spent 21,500 to date in 2021. On to the next page, library. I've calculated those amounts based on the information we know is coming. Same as economic development, those wages consist of the EDO intern and summer experience program, or summer experience student. Professional services, economic development, I have $66,000 in there, 66,665, and that was in there this year for the salary and wages and benefits and such for the Hornepayne Housing Corporation. So I'm not sure if that amount is going to still be in the budget for 2022. That could very well be revised or eliminated. And that's the only change. So based
just going back to that professional services, so it could, because that's the whole amount from March to the end of the year, and the contract is done in the end of August, so it could be decreased a little bit, you're saying?
I was under the impression that the Hornepayne Housing Corporation was going to be taking over those expenses.
Okay.
And for the changes that I have made, the increase in the operating expenses is $92,785. So there's going to have to be some adjustments made in our current budget as opposed to our next year's budget, because we do know that the assessment values are not changing. However, we haven't received our roll book yet for 2022. That gets delivered at the end of December. And Gail and I did have a meeting with Jeremy where he went through the third quarter actuals with us, and we have realized an additional $51,000 in assessment for this year, but we do have a lot of decreases in assessment as well, so that will have to be looked at. So there could we'll have to figure out what the tax rate is based on obviously what our assessment rate is. And then there's various other things that still have to go into the operating budget. We are still in the process of going through all of our department work plans for 2022. So there will be some added expenses from there. We do know that we have elections coming up, so that would probably be an additional $15,000. And like we said before, training for the new council and such. And I know the fire chief has been looking for quotes to get some repairs done in his building. The public works manager has been getting some quotes for some machinery in his department. We know that there is increased annual payments that we have to make based on all the programs and subscriptions that we've been changing over to. So I see that there's going to be a lot of changes coming that way. Maybe our office equipment or office supplies may be reduced to compensate for all of those added subscriptions and whatnot. So we'll have to figure that out as well.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Is there any questions for Melissa at this time? No? Okay. And how would you like to proceed now, Melissa?
So I have a calendar coming up on the December 8th meeting with some possible dates for budget discussion. So I think we'll just wrap it up for now, and then we'll discuss the schedule next Wednesday, if council's good with that.
Yep, that's good. Okay. Great. Thank you so much for all the information for us. And then we have 2 resolutions coming from your presentation. Well, one isn't really from the presentation. It was from something earlier in the year that we had already passed. So, council, if you look at our agenda, items 9, 10, 11, right through till 16, we don't have anything on those items. And then we have resolutions under new business and other business. And they're in your package. If I can get a mover and a seconder for the first one about the transfer from reserves. And just give me 1 second while I find my pen. There we go. Could I get a mover, please? Peter and John. So moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the township of Hornepayne does hereby authorize Melissa Chenier, client service manager, treasurer, to transfer funds from the Municipal Service Corporation Reserve Fund to the Hornepayne Economic Development Corporation for the purpose of facilitating transactions between the Municipal Service Corporation and the Hornepayne Economic Development Corporation in the amount of $50,000. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, there being none, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, and our next motion on the floor, I need a mover and a seconder, and that's for the aqua credits. Grego? And a seconder, please. Peter? Moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the township of Hornepayne does hereby authorize Melissa Chenier, client service manager, treasurer, to defer claiming the 2020 aqua credits originally budgeted for the 2021 water and sewer budget to the 2022 water and sewer budget in the amount of $54,400. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, I put it to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried, none opposed. Okay, so we're coming to the close of our meeting tonight. And I want to thank council for taking the time and getting this important meeting done and moving on. And we need a mover and a seconder for our confirmatory, or sorry, no, I'm moving too fast. We do have a vaccination policy. I'm sorry, Gail, after all your hard work. Okay, first off, we're on item number 19, bylaws, and we have a vaccination policy on the floor. If I can get a mover and a seconder for that, please. Peter and Belinda. Moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1889, being a bylaw to establish a COVID-19 vaccination policy for the township of Hornepayne, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Any further discussion on the vaccination policy? Okay, I'm not seeing any. I want to say thank you. I'll go ahead, Gail.
I just realized I just looked at this today since I was away, but the dates need to be shifted by a week, which the first date was, but the other ones got missed. So we'll shift those. So just so council knows and the public knows, sorry, they're going to be shifted from just in here.
If you let me know
So
which
January, yeah, so page 2.
Page 2.
Here, do you want to take over, Jen? Jen was actually did the most of the work on this, so I'll let her speak to it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jen.
So we just have to shift everything a week because it was originally written for the 24th.
Okay,
So you'll see the December 15th is bolded. That will be switched to December 22nd. And the January 7th that is bolded will be switched to January 14th.
okay, and those are all on page 3, right? Those bolded dates?
Yes. There might be one on page 2 as well.
Yeah, page 2 has a January
Yeah.
7th that will also switch to the 14th.
Okay, and that'll be the 14th. Okay.
And page 5.
I was about to say page 5, January 7th. That looks like all.
At our last meeting that they would all shift by a week, so we knew that.
Yeah, we did, yep.
Okay, and I just wanted to say thank you, Gail and Jen, for all your hard work on this policy. It was one that was put on us after, not in our regular work cycle of what needs to be updated. It's a brand new policy for us. The question I had before I put it to a vote is that we have to have the vaccination declaration forms filled out. And will you be emailing those to us?
Yeah, we'll put a memo out
Okay,
informing everybody a copy of the policy and the bylaw and form.
okay, perfect. I just don't want to miss it.
Yep.
Okay, so I look to council now to, if there's no further comments or questions, I put that to this bylaw to a vote. Those, oh, go ahead, Councillor
No,
Stefanik.
sorry, no, I'm in favor, sorry.
Okay, for those in favor? And that is carried. Okay. Now moving on to near the end of the meeting. Okay, if I can get a mover and a seconder for our confirmatory bylaw, please. Drago and John. Moved by Drago Stefanik, second by John Peroff. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1890, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at their regular meeting held on Wednesday, December 1st, 2021, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, and our adjournment motion, a mover and a seconder, please. Peter and Belinda. Moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, December 1st, 2021 at 7:01 p.m. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, staff, for all your hard
Thank
work.
you. Great work, Melissa. Solid presentation. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll see everyone back next week. Is it
Good
next?
night, everybody.
Good